All right. So thank you all for joining us this evening. We're glad you've made the time to I guess spend some time with us to prepare for this private equity clinic. It's definitely an excellent opportunity to expand your horizons and get a good understanding of what the industry has to offer, as well as what's the likelihood of breaking into the private equity and getting acquainted with individuals who have already been successful in that space and having a better understanding. So what we hope to accomplish this evening is making sure that those attending look the part, are ready to have those good networking conversations, and you can take these valuable experiences away and start to progress your career. So I just want to start off, speak a little bit about brand management. As you approach this evening, you will be representing your communities. You will be representing your corner of the United States, and most importantly for us, you will be a representative of SEO, because we'll have quite a few partners from our partner firms, from Carlisle, from CCMP, Pantheon Ventures, that will be there speaking to you, spending the day with you to impart advice. So this is a large reason why we've decided to go ahead and put this preparation webinar together, to make sure that you look the part and will deliver a great impression for yourself, as well as for SEO. So now, as you're progressing, for this private equity clinic, we want to see you be your best professional self in order to really break into the next part of your career. So some of the things in terms of brand management, it's going to be important that you're going to go there with confidence. We have confidence in you. This is why we've gone about selecting many of you for this special event. So eye contact's going to be important, firm handshake. I know many people have heard this, but it becomes a little different when you get in that room and you're there with unfamiliar individuals. And it's not just to our partner firms, but it's to each other as well. You want to start to exude that confidence, that SEO confidence. So smile, have that positive attitude. The day's going to start at 8:30 a.m., but the expectation is that you're going to be there on SEO time. And what's SEO time? SEO time is at least 20 minutes in advance of your start time. So we expect you to be already in the lobby by at least between 8 and 8:10 a.m. That becomes very important, because when we say we're starting, at 8:30 to 9 a.m. is the registration, we want you already around the corner, because the weather conditions may be difficult. Trains have issues. There's traffic sometimes. So take that into account as you approach that day. If you've already RSVP'd, the expectation is that you will be there. Day of cancellations are only really acceptable if there are some major occurrences that happen in your personal lives. That we can understand. If you're going to be late, shoot an email to Alternative Investments Program to give them a heads up, because it becomes very important. So we want to make sure that you're there in the general area at least by between 8:10, 8:20, so you can start to register at between 8:30 and 9 a.m. If you're getting there at 9 a.m., that's not acceptable. So I just want to make that very clear. And like I said, there's a multitude of events that will be happening that day. There'll be group projects, there'll be case study overviews, there'll be instruction, there'll be time to network. So if you take these in-person points together, then your professional will come across in the ways you communicate, both verbally, physically, in your appearance, and we'll go over a few other things as well. Now, if you have questions, feel free to put those questions into the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer it as we go along. So let's go ahead and move on a little bit. So we want you to be there on time, and the reason we say this is on time is because if you're running in there with your coat hanging off your right shoulder, then you're not thinking about what it is you have to achieve that day. If you get there with extra time, you're able there to register, get some orange juice, shake a few hands, start to kind of settle in, meet some people that have some time to speak to us. We'll be there as well. And then you have a game plan you're ready to execute. This directly goes into your posture, your attire, where, if you're discombobulated, that becomes a problem. We want you to be very ready to show well. So when we talk about what business formal is, business professional, as young individuals who are in college, who are looking to that next opportunity, what does that mean in terms of your posture, your attire, your appearance? That means goatees are not acceptable. Beards are not acceptable. Our vice president will take you aside and have that conversation with you if that's the case. We want you a trim haircut, clean shaven, and that's not an option. So if you think maybe a goatee, maybe a beard, maybe a mustache, unfortunately that's not an option, and we're going to have to ask you to please come in a business professional manner. If not, then you're going to get the wrong type of attention. And on that day, make sure you have your notepad, you have your pen. For the ladies, have that trusty purse with you. Look up where the location is already. It's at Aiken Gump, Strasshauer and Feld, LLP, which is at 1 Bryant Park, New York. Now, 1 Bryant Park, New York is a skyscraper. So this is part of the reason why I want you to be there early. As you get to sign in, you're going to have to go through security. There's going to be a picture taken of you. So this is part of the reason of why we want you there to be early, so you're there on time, ready to go. If you arrive there at 8:50, 8:55, and you have to go through security, believe me, you're going to get there late by the time we've already started the programming. So get that on your Google Maps. Have your devices ready to go so you don't run into that issue. So some of the people on this line are aspiring to be SEO interns. Some are former SEO interns. Either way, the same advice goes to both of you. So please go ahead and take care of some of the facial hair issues. Now, for men's business formal, we're looking for a white or a light blue business shirt, as well as a suit that's tailored well to you. No black ties, no black dress shirts. The gecko shirts, that means the one with let's see here. This here is a gecko shirt. None of that. Any of that, please leave that at home. We want you to show as professional as possible. Hygiene becomes very important as well. So any A shirts or is not acceptable. So crew neck shirts or maybe even V-neck shirts as underneath, it becomes important. And if you have questions, you can just email me directly, and I'm happy to answer that. So skinny ties are also not business professional, because remember, you're coming into an environment that is business professional, and that's the expectation. All right, so once again, here's within the business dress spectrum where you're going to need to fall. So tie is absolutely necessary, as well as a suit jacket. Typically when we're in the programming of events, unless it's extremely hot, the jacket stays on. And so keep that in mind. And if you have any questions, I'm a safe person, Aaron's a safe person to bounce questions off of, and we'll be happy to provide your advice. Here are some PE clinic appropriate professional dress items. So please take that in mind as you pick out your wardrobe. For women's business professional formal, once again, we want to keep it very conservative. Want to keep it very conservative with no toes showing, everything in terms of the the fingernail polish, in terms of the makeup, very simple, very base color is what is expected, as well as, we want to make sure that everybody in the room is concentrating on your best professional self, and not dangly earrings or something like that that will ultimately does not reflect well. So once again, any specific questions, I'm happy to answer. Aaron's happy to answer, as well as if you feel prefer a female answer, we have plenty of so we have plenty of female colleagues that will also we can ping to answer your question as well. So for a diversity of answers. Let's see here. So there's some more examples in terms of the business spectrum, in terms of dress. So keep this in mind, so you visually have some examples that we think are business appropriate. Here's some examples as well. Prefer to keep it very neutral colors. For women, black suits are fine. Dark gray suits are fine. Navy blue are fine. Going back to the men, all black suits are. The only time you ever see a black suit on Wall Street is if someone's going to a funeral, and that's the truth. So you want to keep it to dark gray, navy blue, very conservative colors. If a black suit's all you have, we can have a conversation about it. But we prefer, and as well as the expectation is what I'm currently describing. All right. So when you get there, there's going to be plenty of networking opportunities, and it's going to be okay to ask for cards. When you make a connection with an individual, so you're going to want to work the room, say hi, introduce yourself. There's a thing we call the SEO introduction. My name's so and so. I'm from such and such university. I'm very excited to be here. If you're returning to a bank this coming summer, then you can tell them what bank you'll be returning to. If you're an applicant for the SEO internship program, then you can mention that as well. Or if you have secured an internship or an opportunity, you can feel free to mention that as well. So that goes into your 30-second elevator speech. In these conversations, it's always good to have a two-way conversation. So, if one individual is speaking a large amount, feel free to interject some of your experiences, as well as don't be afraid to ask questions. And at the end of the day, once you feel that you've made that connection, and people are also would like to have a conversation with, say, a high-ranking individual, you want to go ahead and close that deal. Firm handshake. Say, my name's so and so. Thanks for speaking to me. Would it be possible if you could, if I could have a card? And then say, oh yeah, of course. Or if they don't have it, then you're like, okay, great. It's been great, speaking to you. Most importantly, we want you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the truth is sometimes networking is an uncomfortable type of setting, but the quicker you embrace it, the better you'll be at it, and the more relationships that you will foster out of it, because at the end of the day, people who network right are actually creating good relationships, and that becomes very important. So what goes into your 30-second pitch? Education, any credentials, maybe your major, any interests or relevant experiences. There'll be quite a few speakers that are speaking about their experience, whether, what university they went to, places they may have visited, unique tidbits that you may connect with. It's okay to bring that up within your 30-second pitch if you're speaking to somebody you've already know a little bit about. So think about it. What are your headlines? What do people want to know? What's appropriate within this elevator pitch? So in this setting, you'll have to use a variation of your elevator pitch from, if it's brief one-on-one chats to, someone sitting at your table. But keep in mind, these are some of the things that are going to be important. So yes, in networking events, sometimes you'll have that executive or that high-ranking person where there's a semicircle shaped around them, and you're kind of on the outside. So you got to find an opening. Wait patiently. Typically, we're all representing SEO here, so if you see someone kind of hanging out on the side, take a side step, make a little room. There's enough room for everybody. So keep that in mind as you're networking, as well as you see people as well trying to receive knowledge and information from an executive that's speaking to them. So be sure to listen. It's not always about just trying to get in, the things about you. Sometimes the better you listen, the better you can have a takeaway, and maybe that can go up into a follow-up email. One thing a lot of people like to do is, if you do get a card, use that card to write some quick facts about your conversation down, which you can use later in a follow-up email. So smile. A smile can be contagious and will allow you to go forward with any type of conversation. So look for that eye contact, and look for that moment where it seems more appropriate to go ahead and either ask your question or move into the semicircle. These are things that become very important as you start to make connections in networking environments. And then, once you introduce yourself, when you see somebody, say, I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you, and then go ahead and ask your question. So this goes to the one-on-one. If you do have the opportunity to meet with people one-on-one after, or on a side, you want to pay attention, take their lead, ask them about what some of their interests. Ask them, how you should approach your upcoming career or close out your time at university. So you want to be an active listener, being able to not just ask one-sided questions, but be able to fluidly move the conversation forward. So that becomes important as you start to build relationships with people with one-on-one conversations. So then, if you do have the opportunity to follow up, or you do get a card, the way you distinguish yourself, this is a great way to distinguish yourself. This is how people garner mentorship. This is how people get advice from I guess, high-ranking individuals within an industry. This is how you receive sponsorship when you're in the workplace, that for people to actually vouch for you. Because what happens after is a lot of people start speaking on the side, saying, "Oh, that Jim or John is a very smart guy," and that starts to spread. So if you allow opportunities for people to put some positive press out there for you, that typically comes from following up. And what does following up look like? So typically, if you're going to follow up, it's going to be in the next 24 hours, because after that, people forget. The latest by Monday morning, because once the work week hits, it's a new week, and they're not going to be thinking about the weekend anymore. So this is an example of something that could be used. You state your name, a distinguishing fact about yourself, whether it be a university, a region, and then some other things you can speak about. It was great speaking to you at the PE clinic, and try and find those things that you spoke about that you can interject where they say, "Oh, I remember that guy or that girl," and that's one way to continue to move forward if you're really looking to pursue a career in the fields that will be represented at this PE clinic. So this is a fairly short, sweet, and to the point webinar, hitting some of the main points that we're want to make sure to address with you at any time. At this point, feel free to put any questions into the chat box that we may be able to answer. Let's see here. So if you have any questions at this point, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll do our best to address them. So Christy said, "Please, is it okay to wear striped jacket?" I saw this. So a moderate, I guess, very, very tiny stripes You got something?
Sorry. So just to answer the question, the advice that I would give is if you're standing more than 2 feet away and I can tell that you have on stripes, the stripes are too big. So just keep the stripes very, very small. Or, honestly, I would try to avoid it just to be safe. But, I mean, again, just make sure that the stripes are really small.
Yeah, if someone's taking a picture of you and they're a few feet away and they can see the stripes, then if they can barely see it, then that's probably a good proxy. So if you see the picture in the background right now, there's probably some people with very thin stripes, but you really wouldn't be able to differentiate. So once again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email either Aaron or myself. We look forward to seeing you at the PE clinic and wish you best of luck. It's going to be a fun day and look forward to interacting with you. So have a good evening and